So some major political announcements and international issues. We are joined by Congressman for Pennsylvania, Scott Perry. Good morning, Congressman.
Great to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you here.
Before we go any further, a lot of announcements going around right now.
Right.
Are you here to announce you're running for president too?
No. Okay. Yeah, we got some big news, but that's not that would be really big news, I suppose.
Even to you, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, especially to my family.
Yeah.
When that happens, we expect you to make that announcement on CBS 21 News this morning.
As long as you're not staying up late worrying about that.
Okay. Well, we do know that Hillary Clinton is running. That is official right now. Folks like Rand Paul already ready with some ads targeting her. I think it's a good idea for the Republicans to be talking about her already, even before they start debating each other too much.
Well, she is the, I assume, front runner. We've seen this kind of thing before, but I would agree it's kind of early. Each candidate has their pluses and minuses, right? Their detractors and their accolades. And, I think for Hillary in particular, she's got to work really hard to kind of get over some of these issues of trust and so on and so forth, and the scandals of the past. Are we going to have them in the future? But Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and all the rest that are coming are all going to have that. So yeah. I think America's kind of like, okay, it's early. We'll wait till it gets a little more serious.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because Marco Rubio expected to announce today he would join Rand Paul and Senator Cruz, making 3 current senators running for president.
Right.
Now, how do they balance that? And if that takes their focus away, if their campaign takes their focus away from the typical senator responsibilities they need to do?
Well, what you wonder is what are typical senator responsibilities if you get all that time to run for president? But I think the bigger issue is that how national and international events affect campaigns and how it affects votes in those campaigns. And I think that's a really interesting dynamic when you think about that. It's typically how it kind of goes, and so I think we just give them deference in this respect.
Okay.
All right. Well, something that is big for everyone in Congress, the Iran nuclear deal right now. There's a bill coming to Congress to kind of give you guys more of a say than you've had in the past, potentially.
Right.
But what is even in this deal? If you ask Iran, it's one thing. If you ask the White House, it's another. What have you found?
Well, I found is it's a framework of a deal. First of all, it's not really the deal, it's the framework for a deal. And so the legislation, what it would do is say that the president can't unilaterally get rid of the sanctions for 60 days, because these are congressionally and presidentially approved sanctions. So this is in law right now. And
but those sanctions, would they go away immediately?
Well, that's what Iran says.
Right.
But under the bill that's coming through the Senate, they would not. Would have to wait 60 days before anything changed. And I think the important thing for Americans need to consider is, do you feel comfortable with a country that glorifies death and martyrs that kind of thing, that will have a nuclear capability within 10 to 15 years? Are you okay with that? Because that's really what we're talking about. And so the stakes are very, very high. There's no margin for error.
All right. Congressman Perry, part of your territory, York County.
Yes.
We've been talking a lot recently about the police officers being able to carry Narcan or naloxone for people who may have OD'd on heroin.
Right.
And I just wanted to get your thoughts about that.
Well, first of all, the United States Attorney General has urged that first responders be able to carry it, and the FDA is looking at it over the counter, and there's also a bill to make it over the counter as opposed to prescription. But there are other sides of the equation. First of all, heroin use and overdose is really up. It's doubled in almost all applications, and it's just an awful thing for family members and society. But at the same time, would it be an incentive to just go ahead and use because you know that you could get this kind of get out of overdose free pass? And so I think the prudent thing is to make sure first responders have it, but I'm not sure. I think the debate's going to continue about over the counter and just easy access to anybody.
Well, just yes or no. Do you think taxpayers should pay for it if it's going to maybe be nationwide and have all first responders?
Well, I think we've got to be careful about taxpayers paying for it. Again, if it's just open to anybody having it and using heroin on one side and then just having taxpayers paying for the overdose cure, so to speak, is that good public policy? So I think I have to be very careful about this. At the same time, first responders having it, and because I think when they show up and somebody's overdosed and they use the drug, then there's going to be consequences to using, as there should be, because it still is against the law. Let's remember that.
Right. All right.
That'll do it.
As always, we thank you for your time and your input. And
well, thank you. Have a great. Just a month ago, it was going to snow on this morning when we were here. So
right.
really looking good.
Steve's laughing over there.
Yeah, really looking good.